the purpose of our meeting, we announced kind of late last year a plan to partner with Alcorn Electric, Ace Fiber, and we have representatives from Ace here today, Sean McGrath and Jason Grissom. They're CEO and Chief Operation Officer for Ace Electric, and they're heavily involved in the fiber side as well. So they're our fiber partners. So our concept is, we cannot go in the internet business as a city, municipality, we can't do it. We've got this large rural footprint. We serve from Potts Camp, Blue Springs, and Blue Mountain. So there's a big void in our area where we just don't have, we don't have any internet or not adequate internet. So we were trying to figure out what to do to make sure our community had the same kind of access to quality internet as the ones around us. So the solution we came up with was for our electric system to build a communication system to serve the needs of our electric system. So that, and it's also kind of an economic development tool. We can lease dark fiber to different companies. So we're going to have a communication system that's going to allow us to modernize our electric grid. We're going to be able to put devices on our electric system to make it, to optimize it, to regulate our voltage, just so we can communicate across the system. So that was our main point in putting the system up. But as a byproduct of that, we can lease excess capacity to an internet service provider, which is Ace Fiber. They'll lease the backbone fiber from us, and then they'll come and run the service drops to customers, and they'll actually serve the internet accounts. So that's the model that we conceived, and we've signed a letter of intent with Ace, and we have since signed a dark fiber lease with them to be that internet service provider. So again, since last fall, we've gotten our project team together. We have a group that's doing project management for us. We've got a design team that's actually working on designing the system for us, and we're getting ready to bid materials. So anyway, things are working. Nothing goes quite as fast as we want, but things are moving. We hope to have a company under contract over the summer, and then hopefully we'll start hanging fiber in the fall. Once we start hanging it, it will actually go pretty quick. We think about a year and a half, we'll have everything up, and then Ace will be, if we get areas ready to serve, they'll be coming behind us and actually serving the customer. So again, once it gets started, it will go fairly fast. Of course, a key component of this is what does it cost and how are you going to pay for it? So we think the whole project is about a $26 million project. The initial cost is, again, these are all estimates, around $19 million on our side, $7 million on the Ace side. We have borrowed $14 million to get the project started for the initial funding. Again, the goal is that the lease payments that we get from Ace will pay the debt service, so it will not cause a rate increase, and then we'll have the communication system to help our electric system. So again, it's really a win-win for us if everything works like it's supposed to. Now, a big part of this, and to make it financially feasible, and just to really make us sleep a little bit easier, not if we can get grant funds to help us pay for the project, and that's where our guest comes in her office, and I'm gonna let Sam introduce Ms. Doty in the office.
Well, for 4 years, I've been in Jackson, and I finally got to the point where I told Speaker Gunn, who's my boss, I said, they're not going to let me back in Union County if I don't come back to some type of plan for broadband. I see the supervisors and all of them here, and they've been hearing it too. So I'm thankful for Bill Maddox and his creativity to come up with this plan. But none of this could happen without the blessings of Sally Doty and the Beam office. When the legislature created the Beam office, it was for this type thing, and to expand broadband in Mississippi and make it accessible to everybody. We have over 10,000 underserved and unserved people in Union County, and we've still managed to do great things here. But with Bill's help, with the help of the Beam office, we're going to grow exponentially. I'll tell you a little bit about Sally. She's from Brookhaven, and she's been a 2-term senator. But she was so successful as a senator, the governor picked her out and said, we're going to put you in charge of the public utilities in the state of Mississippi. That didn't last but 2 years. Said, oh, we're going to take you out of there. We're going to move you to Beam and let you start a whole new program for the state of Mississippi. So they picked the right person to do it. But I'm going to tell you, if you go to Jackson and you go to the Senate and ask some of them about Sam Creekmore, they can find some bad things to say. Neither Senate or legislature side ever says anything derogatory back towards Sally Doty. It's all good. And obviously, the executive branch likes her because they keep moving her to different programs. So I want to introduce to you one of the most successful legislators most important people, especially now, this day, for broadband, Sally Doyt.
I wonder if I can take Representative Creekmore with me to introduce me everywhere. Thank you. That is very kind.
Sure.
Some people say that perhaps I can't keep a job. I keep moving around. But this was such a great opportunity. I was in the Senate for 3 terms. I ran 3 elections, but had the opportunity really out of the blue one day, got a call to go over to the public utilities staff. Enjoyed that so much, and where I was at the public utilities staff, we that same year, it was 2020, it was COVID year, and so we got $75 million of CARES Act money that came to the public utility staff for broadband grants across the state. Really for electric co-ops, the majority of it was designated for electric co-ops, and it had a very tight time frame, so a lot of other providers were kind of a little nervous to get into it. But we did that program at the public utility staff in a way that was part of my introduction into this world of broadband. While I was in the Senate, I was chair of Energy, and I handled the Broadband Enabling Act that allowed the co-ops to get into the broadband business. So that was my very first intro in it. So it just seems that this is kind of where my career is leading me right now, is in this space. So when we got to the Beam office that was established, for a minute I thought it was going to come to the public utility staff, and then the governor said, nope, I want it as a separate office where someday one person every day wakes up thinking about and working on how can we get broadband out to every Mississippian. He said, now you can have it, but you got to move over to this new agency. So I moved over, and I'm so glad I have. It's a tremendous opportunity. And so the Beam office was started about a year ago, legislation through the 22 legislature. And so we began July 1, all the bills go into effect July 1. So I began work July 1 of last year. Most other states already had a broadband office. Mississippi and Alaska, I think we're the last 2 to stand up an office dedicated for broadband, because there's a tremendous amount of federal money that is coming down for broadband projects. We are a small. We're a small office. We've got 8 of us now. We have 6 state workers, 2 contract workers. And let's play our message from the governor. I do have a message. Since we have such a good crowd here, let me play this message from the governor about the importance that he sees in broadband. It's very quick. Oh, can we hear it? Oh no. We're on about 50-50. Sometimes we can hear him, we can't see him. Sometimes we can see him, can't hear
It
him.
helped me hook up to this. Do we have a volume control? I don't see.
So Miss Sally, we really need internet.
Y'all need. Well, you seem to be moving really well. I think this is a technology on our end. We'll keep on going.
I didn't expect you to, so I didn't try to shoot it.
Sorry. All right. Just know, we do work directly under the governor's office, and he is so involved and interested. I report quite often on our progress. But this is our office. Several of them moved with me from the public utilities staff, and we are extremely busy. This is the state of Mississippi as far as we can best tell right now, and where our served and underserved and unserved locations are. You can see up in northeast Mississippi, tremendous build out by the co-ops, really fueled by that CARES Act is money. That's really what got a lot of them to kind of jump in and go ahead and take on those projects. So the white is where our served areas are. So it's either co-op areas or areas with a high density of population. Because, people aren't providing internet just out of the goodness of their heart, of course. These companies aren't. It's got to make financial sense. And when you have rural areas with a lower density, it's hard to make a living there. It's hard to make the finances work for a project like that. So the feds are going to, through the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, through a program called the BEAD funding, It's broadband equity accessibility deployment through the BEAD program. I think I got that right. I don't know. I might be wrong on that acronym. Through the BEAD program, there's $43 billion that's going to go out around the nation, split up between the states. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But this is kind of your areas of, you see Southwest Mississippi. I live in Brookhaven, a lot of unserved areas there. We have, a couple of hundred of underserved areas. I have some cable at my house that I cannot get the speeds that I need to get. And I certainly can't get the speeds that I'm gonna need in 5 years or maybe 10 years when I hopefully have a robot that will do my laundry for me, I hope. So, there is so much that's coming out. I think, if we just look back 10 years ago, we didn't do, just the advancements. There's gonna be more. I don't even know what it is, but it's gonna be an incredible opportunity for our kids in education, for telehealth. I just think it's so important for Mississippi. I don't have to tell you that. So we did the CARES Act. It was that $75 million leveraged into $150 million. Everybody had to match it. So that was a big lick in the state. Currently, we have a $32 million grant that our office applied for that we are administering throughout the state. And it's I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's $32 million. It's a small grant, right? When we're looking at these numbers that we're going to administer. And it's really helped us kind of get our processes in order as we move towards these larger grant programs that are coming to the state of Mississippi. So we're in the middle of that. Our next funding opportunity that I believe Bill Maddox, my friend over here, is very interested in is the Capital Projects Fund. It is $162 million of ARPA funding that came straight to the states for broadband infrastructure. So it didn't go to the legislature, didn't go to counties, it was designated for broadband infrastructure. Even though it had that designation, we as a state still had to put our plan together and submit our plan to the Treasury Department is running this. The deadline for the plan was back in September. We had ours in on time, early, a few days, I think. And our plan was nothing different or crazy. It was just, we're gonna build major broadband infrastructure projects in Mississippi through a competitive grant process. So my office has been busy getting that process together, getting our rubric ready where we're gonna score all the applicants, getting our application portal ready. And we've been running a challenge, a mapping challenge. The map right here, thank you all Mississippi taxpayers. You all have paid for a contractor to help us develop a map of the state of Mississippi that shows all of the unserved and underserved locations. Prior to that, the only map we had was the FCC map, the national map, which shows Mississippi as 100% served. Now, it shows that because it takes into consideration satellite service. And the satellite providers all say, oh yeah, we can get a certain speed. And we know that is not the case in a lot of areas, or when it's raining, or when a lot of people are on the service, So the national map is good, and they made some improvements to it, but we all know it's better when you can do something local and close to home. You can get better information. And this federal money that's coming out is so different than other federal money in the past for broadband, because in the past it was run from the federal level. They would push it out that way. But with a state broadband office, we're better able to know what's going on on the ground. And they're building that. We keep in touch with all the providers. We know what's happening, so we can make better decisions for our state, I believe. So we have been working on a map challenge with all our providers. We had over 200,000 challenges by providers that were filed. So my office has been very busy with our heads down in our computers a lot. We have been, we've stood up broadbandms.com, which is a way for individuals to do a speed test. Now, y'all kind of, here in New Albany, in this area, y'all don't necessarily need to do this. You can if you want to. It might be interesting for you to see what kind of speed you have now and then what kind of speeds you get in the future. But broadbandms.com is our website that we've stood up that immediately when you go to it, it says take the test. You can hit the button, it runs 3 separate speed tests and tells you what your speed is. And then it gives that speed and your address over to our Mississippi map. We don't use that for anything else. We don't sell your data, nothing. We are using that so we can look and see how you have reported your speeds. Because keep in mind, the only other data that we have are speeds that are reported by internet service providers. And sometimes maybe they might exaggerate their speeds a little bit, or sometimes, you know, they have more people on a line, and perhaps the people out here really don't get the speeds that are advertised. So it's so important for us to have that observational data from individuals. So I think we've got about 15,000, I think, who've done the speed test around the state. We've been out doing a lot of community meetings around the state to encourage people, and we're going to focus in on certain areas and try to get those folks to do our speed test. So the important funding that's upcoming is I was right, broadband equity access and deployment. We don't know how much money we are going to get for that as a state. I've put up there $500 million. I expect us to get $1 billion, maybe even a little bit more. It is dependent on our number of unserved and underserved locations. And again, that's kind of been a moving target. So I'm not exactly sure where the feds are gonna say that is, but we will know June the 30th. June the 30th, unless they push it back, we will get that number and we will know how much money we have for the state of Mississippi. And the mandate with the BEAD program is for every Mississippian to have access to broadband. And when I say broadband, I want to not say that anymore. I'm going to say high-speed internet. High-speed internet. That's what broadband is. The preference is for fiber. Fiber is the gold standard. It can be scaled up even to higher speeds that we're going to need in the future. So those are the projects that we are looking for. Now, as we try to stretch our dollars around the state, you know, there may be somebody who lives out on a dirt road 5 miles away from anybody else. You know, we might use a different technology. Instead of building, you know, $100,000 worth of fiber out to one person. So we have also a contractor that is doing data modeling for us. So as a state broadband office, we are going to be able to help make those decisions and know what kind of technologies to use. But again, the preference is for fiber. It's just the gold standard, and every Mississippian should have access as much as possible. So we have a lot of work to do. June the 30th is, we'll get our amount, and then we have a 5-year plan that is due. We have an initial proposal that is due, I think, by December. We hope to have that beforehand. When that initial proposal is approved, the feds will release 20% of our funding. So we want to go ahead and get that together. Our office will also be administering a grant for digital skills and accessibility. You know, it doesn't do any good for that fiber to run by your house if you don't take service and if you don't use it. And we want to, you know, I think we're going to get, again, this is another program where they haven't told us how much we're going to get. You know, by my back of the envelope, I think we'll get 15 or 16 million over a 5-year period. And my thought is we want to bolster existing programs. Libraries have such great programs, MSU Extension. There's some other community programs. We went and visited yesterday a digital skills and training they do in Byhalia in a historic church there. And then we also visited over in Water Valley, the coding academy there. So there are some opportunities, I think, within our state for us to enhance our skills And it might be enhancing our skills, among everybody our age, you know? The youngsters seem to be doing pretty well, right? So I think there might be an opportunity. I know that you know, everybody in my office is younger than I am, of course, and they have to bail me out of trouble all the time on technology. So I think there's some real opportunities for training, because this training can help us so much with economic development. Telehealth, I think there's so many opportunities there for aging in place, for monitoring, all kinds of things. So we'll be doing that as well. We're in a planning phase on that and gathering information. There's also a program, a federal program. We just make a plug for it. It's not our program, that provides a $30 a month benefit for someone who's 200% or below of the federal poverty line. And you have to apply. The website's up there. You can't see it very well, but we have some flyers about it, and we'll share those with Bill too, because there are a lot of low-income people who we want them to have access as well if possible, and so they can take advantage of this benefit. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program. So this is our office. We are the Beam office. Beam.ms.gov is just our office website. info@beam.ms.gov. We check that every day. Jonathan, are you checking that every day? Okay, he says he's checking it every day. You can get in touch with me, get in touch with any of us if you need to. We're on social media. But I want to just tell you all how impressive it is with the planning that has gone on to get service to your community. And if I could have this in every community around the state that doesn't have high-speed internet, my job would be so much easier. But you know, we began meeting with Sam and Bill a year and a half ago. Yeah, before I moved over. So probably a year and a half ago. So we've been having meetings about what funding opportunities are coming, what they would need to do, how it need to be structured. So they have really done the work to get New Albany, like gas and water, to where it needs to be in this partnership with Ace Fiber, and the partnership with Ace Fiber as well. So I just cannot commend them enough for the work that they have done. They will be applying for the capital projects plan. It's all done by the numbers and blind, so I wish you well, but I think y'all have done the work to score pretty well. So I would expect some good outcomes there. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, let you kind of know what's going on around the state, and just tell you that you've got good folks here working on this issue in your area. I'll be glad to take a couple of questions if anybody has one.
That's a quick question.
Mhm.
So I know obviously the focus is on underserved.
Mm-hmm.
I took the little speed test a while ago and it said I'm underserved. So obviously in parts of our North Mississippi, we have a pretty good network that's set up.
Yeah.
But so say for example in your home, so say in a student's home, they have, this isn't like a loaded question, knocking any internet service provider.
Sure.
Say if they had cable internet available there, and they have New Albany Light, Gas, and Water as their power source, will they also be afforded that opportunity to get a higher speed? Or will it be like you already have service provided?
Yeah.
No, so if you have an electric meter with us, we're gonna put that backbone in front of every electric meter, every home in our service territory. And of course, Ace Fiber will be the one that actually, will run the service to the house. And there won't be any charge to run the service. Now a lot of times if people don't have internet and they want internet, they will say, yeah, we'll get it to you. You got to pay $3,000, or what is a huge amount of money. There won't be any charge to get this in most cases. I mean, there might be some anomalies, but the business plan is for that service to be run to that house. They just have to ask for it, and of course pay the monthly bill. But yeah, they'll be, if they have, it doesn't matter if they have service now or not. We're going to run fiber in front of their home, every home in our footprint, now and forevermore.
So broadband is a competitive environment. It is not a monopoly like your electric service provider is. You know, we kind of protect those for certain reasons, of course. But broadband, competitive environment, so, you know, I would expect MaxSouth might lower their prices or try to provide some better service, so, you know, you can have more than one provider.
Will it be on the same infrastructure? I mean, where I live, they've already run fiber. I think it's maxed out. So will you guys use that same infrastructure, or will you run new fiber?
No, we'll put up our fiber because we want to create our own communication network, you know, for our electric system. So we'll put our own fiber up all across the footprint. Again, and then, Ace Fiber will run the service drops.
I'll put on my public utilities hat for just a minute. You know, there are so many benefits as well to your electric system as to having that fiber and that communication system as far as managing the load and everything. So it's going to have great benefits for the electric system as well. All right.
One more question.
Yes.
Testing website, is this something that you want the public to be aware of? Do you want as much data collected?
We would love to. We would love to have more data. I've had people say, well, I've got good internet. Do I need to, is it going to mess you up if I take the test? I'm like, no, take the test. Take the
That's
test.
something that I can push out and say, hey, just take the test.
We would love for that to happen because we want as many people as possible. It makes us look better if we can say we've had more people to take that test.
Okay.
It gives more validity to our test. So we would appreciate it, and I think it'll be really interesting. We will be able to compare the folks that are doing all that for me or, you know, have data. So they will be able to kind of compare it before and after as well. So that'd be an interesting look back to have. Yeah, it's all on we've got a lot of graphics on our social media that you can use, or we can send you one. All right, well, it's a new world, isn't it? We all better get ready for it. Thank you.
I just want to say, I think you all can tell that we're